Today I'm brewing with 240 volts, and so I've got my SV240 and my ETC controller together, and they're hooked up, the SV240 is hooked up to a 30 amp circuit, and the ETC just plugs into regular household power. The way it works is the ETC controller actually controls the output of the SV240, and the SV240 has a boil regulator, which is really awesome. I should say it's an output regulator, and it's just very simple. So it's at 100% now, it's at 10% just by turning the knob. So it's very simple construction, very simple design, and it gives me great accuracy when I'm mashing, for example. I can just set it, the output to around 25%, and at 25%, it's going to maintain mash temperature without any overshoots. I get asked the question, does the Easy Boil work with the SV240? And the answer is no. The ETC is the only controller that works with it because the ETC is a switching controller, whereas the Easy Boil is a pulsing controller using a solid state relay. Without getting into the specifics of it, the ETC controller is the one that's going to work with the SV240, and the SV240 is actually very similar to the Easy Boil in the output. It just doesn't have the timing features, which I'm not really a fan of timing features when I can use Siri. I'm adding a teaspoon of gypsum to my mash water. For me, it helps get an extra point. It might not work for you because everybody's water profile is different. So you should do your research with any sort of water additions that you're going to use. You want your crush not too coarse. You want all the husks broken, but also not too fine, not too floury. This is not a BIAB brew system, okay? So it is modeled after a brew in a bag, but it is not a brew in a bag because there's no bag. This is an all stainless system. You don't have to worry about getting any contaminants into your beer, being an all stainless system. There are people who swear by using bags, and if that works for you, go for it. There's a great website that you can buy them from. I can post the link. And if you are concerned about getting any grist into the boil kettle, maybe the bag is for you. I have a way of avoiding getting any solids into my boil kettle, and I want to share that with you. So here I want to focus on the proper technique to dough in to the Unibroy system. Second thing, shut off the pump. You want to have the pump off when you're doughing in, really important. Also, shut the power off. Okay? So I'm shutting the power off to the element, not to the controller. And what you want here is you've already got the temperature 6 degrees over your actual mash-in temperature. So you've got 6 degrees to play with. So I like to add my grains. And I don't like to do it too fast. I like to pour them in nice and easy. Grab my spoon. Stir it. Now make sure that you've got no dough balls whatsoever, okay? Add some more grains. Now I'm doing a Northeast IPA, so I'm also going to post the recipe in the link. So it's not a real heavy grain bill. There's some oats in here. If you're going to add a lot of flaked oats or wheat, some people like to add wheat. I've got a wife who is gluten-free as much as possible, so she won't drink my beer if I put wheat in it. And just really what you want before you start recirculating this system is to get that grain bed to set up. So I just want to fully wet the grains here. Now, when I stir, recognizing that I'm setting up the grain bed. And, you know, setting up means creating a filter bed so that when we start recirculating, we've got a nice good base at the bottom. So if you're going to stir, don't push the spoon all the way down and scrape the bottom of the grain bed. We've already done that. We've already mixed those grains in. We've fully wetted them. We just want to make sure that the new stuff that we're adding doesn't have any dough balls, which will definitely affect our overall efficiency if we let those dough balls be. So I'm just stirring until I get it fully wetted here. Now you can see that looks good to me. Now at this stage, I would put the lid on, but I've got GoPro here and I'm able to maintain temperature anyway. So I want to show you before I start pumping it, I'm going to close that ball valve fully. And now I'm going to turn on the pump and I'm going to let that liquid flow through slowly. It's really important at this stage to not let the water level rise. If the water level's rising, you're pumping too fast. So the efficiency comes from working with the filtration that you've got in the grain bed. You turn on that pump all the way and you're gonna start spilling over the top. You could expose the element underneath, and that's when you can have a scorched element. So if you want to avoid the scorch, you want to maintain your mash efficiency, slow and low, go nice and easy. Now, I'm going to have a look at the temperature, and I can see that it's almost dropped down to my desired mash temperature. My desired mash temperature is 152, and we're at 153.5. So I want to scrub off a little more heat here. I'm doing a little bit of stirring. Again, I'm not pushing that spoon all the way to the bottom, but I can see here that I'm maintaining my liquid temperatures or my liquid levels. I'm going to grab a thermometer. And now the heat's dropped enough. I'm going to turn the mash on. So that's just switching the switch here to mash. When brewing at 240 volts, I have the SV240 here hooked up. And when I'm mashing, if I don't want temperature overshoot, I'm finding around 25 output is just perfect. I'm pretty happy with the way this is looking and the way it's setting up. So I'll see you in a little bit.